Hi, I'm Lester. I own a company that rakes backyards, and I charge $6.25 for 1 square meter. If this yard is 4 meters by 6 meters, how much money am I going to make?
When we're talking about area, we're talking about the measurement that covers the surface of a particular region. So typically for us, we measure in centimeters or meters or even kilometers. And when we're measuring area, we're measuring a 1 by 1 of each of those measurements. So for something like this, let's say this is 1 square here, and let's say this is a 1 centimeter, and this is 1 centimeter. It means that if we have 3 rows and then 5 columns over, that means that we have in total 15 square centimeters that is covering this surface area right here. We use surface area when we're talking about land, how big a piece of land is. We also use it a lot in construction of things, such as when you're talking about painting a wall like this, how much paint is it going to be in order to cover the surface area, or flooring, carpet, how much do you need in order to cover the actual floor itself. It's quite easy to do the calculations for a surface area when it's rectangle or square, because like I showed you with the example of rows and columns, it's just multiplying the row by the column in order to figure out the surface area. But what if it's not a rectangle or a square? So when we're looking at the area of a rectangle, for example, here I have an 8 centimeter by a 4 centimeter rectangle, and we're trying to find out the surface area, how much it is in there. Well, the one little square that I have here, by example, is a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. That means I have 8 of them going this way and 4 of them going up. And we know using arrays that if I were to do 8 times 4, that would tell us how many are in the entire rectangle. So 8 centimeters times 4 centimeters equals 32 centimeters squared. And the reason that we put that 2 up there for squared is that it's a 2-dimensional shape that we're looking at, a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So there's actually 32 of these squares within this rectangle here. That means the formula for finding out area of a rectangle is timesing the length by the height in order to find the area. Length 8, height 4 equals the area that you're going to have in that rectangle. So we use area equals length times width for a formula to find out a rectangle. So here's a higher level thinking challenge. If we know the area of a rectangle, the formula is area equals length times width. What would be the area of a triangle? How could you figure that out? Here's my triangle, 6 centimeters by 5 centimeters. I want you to try to use the information you have here and figure out the area of the triangle. So if we use this information here, if we know that for a rectangle, area equals length times width, in order to figure out area, what we can do is actually make this into a rectangle. Now, this triangle here is half of this rectangle. That's a little hint for you. So if this is a full rectangle and we do area equals length times width, which equals 6 times 5, which area would equal 30 centimeters squared. That's for the full rectangle. This triangle is half of it. So what do I do to it? I divide it by 2. So the area of this triangle is 15 centimeters squared. The formula that I use for this triangle is area equals length times width divided by 2. Now here's another challenge for you. I want you to try to figure out the surface area of the letter C. How many centimeters squared is just the C part here? There's actually 2 ways that you can do it. I'll show you both. But pause the video right now and try to figure it out for yourself. The one way that you could do this is to create an imaginary line here. And let this whole surface be one of the areas that you're looking at. So we have a 10 by 8 of this whole rectangle here. Area equals length times width. 8 times 10, which equals 80 centimeters squared. Then what you can do is find out the surface area for this piece here and take it out of 80 centimeters squared. Area equals length times width. 6 times 6, which equals 36 centimeters squared. Then the area of the letter C would equal 80 subtract 36, which would equal 44 centimeters squared. That's one way of doing it. The other way that you could do this is to actually cut the C into 3 rectangles. So I'm going to do this one here and this one here. And so you have 8 centimeters on this side. And I know that this is 6 here, and I know this full length one is 10. That means there's 4 altogether with these 2. So this means this one is 2 centimeters, and this is 2 centimeters. So now rectangle, and I'm going to call this rectangle X. This is rectangle Y. This is rectangle Z. Rectangle X here has the area equals length times width with 8 times 2, which equals 16 centimeters squared. It would be the exact same for Z because they're the exact same rectangle. Length times width equals 8 times 2 equals 16 centimeters squared. Now for Y here, it's certainly not 10 centimeters anymore because we've taken out these. It's actually the same as this side. It's a 6 centimeter. And if this side is 6, that means this is 2. So this rectangle here is a 2 centimeter by, a 6 centimeter. So rectangle Y, area equals length times width, equals 6 times 2, which is 12 centimeters squared. Then what you have to do is add all of these up in order to figure out the area of C. So 16 plus 16 plus 12. 16 plus 16 is 32 plus 12, whoops, equals 44 centimeters squared. Same as this one here. So it doesn't really matter which method you use. You can either take out part of the whole or divide up the actual entire shape into smaller rectangles and add them together. So did you figure out my friend Lester's solution to his problem? So if he is raking a 6 meter by 4 meter yard and charges $6.25 per square meter, how much is he going to make on that yard?
6 times 4 is 24 times 6.25. I make $150.